Okay, after all that prologue, now let's use Munis to look something up. And in this case, we're going to use account inquiry to look up the TESS street maintenance org that we talked about in the chart of accounts series. So to get to account inquiry, if you recall from before, I could use the Tyler menu. But as I've been here before, I've actually saved account inquiry to my programs here under financials. That's my top link. I'm going to click it right there. It's going to open in a new tab. Okay, let's look at the account inquiry screen and see what search fields are available to us. So in order to search, you're going to be using this group up here, and the simplest way to search is just by clicking on the magnifying glass, and everything that you can enter information into will change to white, and you can see that you can enter a cursor into these fields. Now notice that some of these fields have this little ellipses box next to them. And that means that you can click the ellipses in order to see all of the data that you could potentially enter into that field in order to return a result. And here's what I mean by that. So you're confronted with this field fund, and you're like, enter fund code. What is that? How do I even know what fund I want to look for? So you can click the ellipses and it'll flip over and show you all of the different funds and their associated codes. So perhaps you'll recall that the general fund here is Fund 11. But then as you go down further, you can see that all of our different funds have different fund codes, and they may or may not be applicable to whatever you're trying to do in Munis. But this is a way that you can quickly see, what fund is what, and what information you can enter into the fund field and then return a result. And so that means, for example, you couldn't just enter 8 and then get anything back, because you can look on this list, there is no Fund 8. And you can do that with all of the fields that have this ellipses, and that's throughout Munis. Whenever you encounter an ellipses, this is how it behaves. So if I click here on the org ellipses, it'll open up, and these are all of our orgs that are in the system. If you recall from our financial, or from our chart of accounts video, the first 2 digits are the fund, the next 2 digits are the department. So as I scroll down here, these are all general fund orgs. I can grab my little handle, drag it further down. Okay, now we're in different funds. These are grant funds. It continues down. Okay? And then finally, we could do the same thing with objects. So I'll just click on object here. Now the first ones that load are the objects that begin with 1. More likely than not, you're not going to need to mess with these. And in fact, to get to the objects that you probably will be encountering in your day-to-day work, you need to scroll down to where the 4s begin, because these are revenues. And if I just scroll into the 5s, which are expenditures. So I'll hit return. And let's actually enter that TESS org 11410316, and I'll hit either accept or enter. They do the same thing. In this case, I'll hit accept. It'll run its search, and then let's look at what it returned back. So just by entering that org, it returned back a bunch of information here, including the fund, obviously, it's associated with the general fund, and it returned the first object numerically that is associated with that org. And I can see, if I look down here, that there's actually 69 different objects that are associated with that org, and this is just the first one. And I could click these arrows in either direction to page through the different objects. And it just goes up one by one by one by one. So let me just get to one that has, here we go, that just has some information on it. If I look over here, I can see is back. This is the long string. The account name, I can see that this is, the type is an expense. I can also see that because the object begins with a 5. Over here it's active, and it's associated with this roll-up code. Now when I look the second half of the screen here, I can see that fiscal year 18, I'm filming this in December 2017, so I'm right in the middle of fiscal year 18. Fiscal year 18 is my current fiscal year. It's over here on the left. And then I have 2 years of history, and then fiscal year 19, which is next fiscal year, is here because the budget office is currently working on building the information for this fiscal year. And it's displayed over here on the right. Now if I click history, I'll be able to get further history beyond just the 2 years. So fiscal year 15, 14, 13, and on and on. Now you'll notice that each of these fiscal years has these sets of yellow folders associated with them. Let me flip back over here. What these yellow folders are is the transaction level detail that is underpinning all of these amounts of money. So for example, if I'm looking here in fiscal year 15 and I'm looking here at the actual line, so these are the actual transactions that happened, I could click this folder, and I'm in Social Security. I could click this folder and see the transactions that are underpinning that $50,000 worth of expenditures. And I can see here, these are all associated with the different payrolls that we run, and here they all are. And when they add up to $50,832.42. I can back out this way, and I see that's what makes up that amount. So this is just a brief overview of the generic account inquiry screen, and we'll see you in the next video.